Senior Scout Zax 427 prided himself on being prepared for any first contact scenario. His training had covered everything from silicon-based life forms to floating gas organisms. Yet nothing in his extensive career had prepared him for the sight before him. Through his ship's observation screen, he watched as a small human child, no more than 7 solar cycles old, approached what his scanners identified as a Class 3 predator. The creature stood nearly as tall as the child on 4 muscular legs, with a set of teeth that could crush bones. Emergency protocols. Zax chittered to his crew, his antennae vibrating with alarm. We must intervene before. He froze mid-sentence. The predator had noticed the child, but instead of attacking, it lowered its head and allowed the small human to wrap their arms around its thick neck. His secondary heart nearly stopped when the beast opened its mouth, only to gently lick the child's face, triggering a burst of melodious human laughter. Chief Scientist Neri, Zax called out, his voice barely a whisper. Are you seeing this? The crystalline being floated closer to the screen, her facets reflecting confusion. Fascinating. According to our scans, this creature shares 98.9% of its genetic material with apex predators that dominated this continent for millennia. Yet it appears to be playing. Zax dropped his datapad when the child pulled out a small object and threw it. His security training screamed that projectile weapons were being deployed, but once again, reality defied his expectations. The predator bounded after the object, retrieved it, and brought it back to the child, tail wagging in what appeared to be joy. This must be some sort of anomaly, Zax muttered, adjusting his scanner settings. Perhaps this particular beast is defective. But as the team watched, more humans appeared in the area they would later learn was called a park. Each human was accompanied by similar predators of varying sizes and shapes. Some were massive and thick-furred, others sleek and athletic. All of them displayed the same inexplicable behavior, complete devotion to their human companions. Sir, his communications officer interrupted, I've been analyzing their information networks. These creatures are called dogs, and they're not an anomaly. They're everywhere. Humans keep them in their dwellings, train them for various tasks, and refer to them as good boys and good girls. Zax settled into his command chair, trying to process this information. His species had spent generations developing technology to keep predators away from civilized areas. The humans had simply befriended them. There's more, the officer continued, her bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. Dogs aren't even their most impressive achievement. They have smaller predators called cats that they allow to sleep in their beds. They've domesticated descendants of pack-hunting wolves and turned solitary big cats into companions. Some humans even keep scaled reptilian predators as what they call pets. The observation team spent the next 3 hours watching the park, documenting each human-animal interaction. They saw elderly humans being gently guided by patient dogs, small children learning to command massive beasts with simple voice commands, and groups of humans socializing while their varied companions played together. Update the species report, Zax finally ordered, his professional demeanor barely concealing his awe. Humans are not simply Class 3 tool users. They possess some unprecedented ability to forge emotional bonds with predator species. This changes everything we thought we knew about Earth. As if to emphasize his point, a new human arrived at the park, this one in some sort of official uniform. Their companion was a magnificent black and tan creature that moved with calculated precision. The dog's alert posture and intelligent eyes suggested it was more than a companion. It was a partner. We're going to need a new classification system, Neri observed, and perhaps a complete reassessment of what we consider impossible. The first official meeting between the alien delegation and Earth's representatives took place at a sprawling facility in Montana, which humans called a ranch. Chief Scientist Neri had insisted on this location after discovering that humans didn't just tame predators. They had mastered the art of partnering with numerous species. Welcome to the Triple Creek Training Center, said Dr. Sarah Chen, leading the wide-eyed aliens across the grounds. We thought this would be the perfect place to demonstrate humanity's relationship with various animal species. Zax 427 noticed his security team growing increasingly nervous as they approached their first demonstration area. A human handler stood in a circular enclosure with a creature that made even the veteran scout take an instinctive step backward. "This is Thunder," the handler announced, patting the neck of a massive equine. "He's a Belgian draft horse. His ancestors helped build human civilization." The aliens watched in stunned silence as the handler, seemingly fragile compared to the towering horse, guided the powerful animal through a series of precise movements using barely perceptible cues. Thunder responded to whispered words and gentle touches, his hooves dancing gracefully despite his enormous size. Remarkable, Neri's crystalline form sparkled with excitement. The neural synchronization between handler and animal is unlike anything we've documented. But surely this is a specially bred specimen. Dr. Chen smiled. "Actually, we'd like to show you something even more impressive. Jenny, could you bring out the border collies?" What followed left the alien delegation scrambling to record every detail. Two medium-sized dogs emerged, their intense focus evident as they responded to subtle whistles and voice commands. Within minutes, they had organized a scattered group of sheep into precise formations, demonstrating problem-solving skills that bordered on tactical genius. These dogs, Dr. Chen explained, can recognize and respond to over 100 distinct commands. They can calculate complex herding patterns and adjust their strategy based on the terrain and the behavior of individual sheep. Zax noticed one of his junior officers rapidly updating their species threat assessment. Any species that could turn predators into such disciplined workers needed careful consideration. But the real surprise came during their lunch break. As the delegation settled into the ranch's conference room, a small orange creature sauntered in through a pet door, tail held high. "Oh, that's just Marmalade," Dr. Chen said casually, as if an apex predator hadn't just walked into a diplomatic meeting. "She's our resident Mauser." The security team watched in horror as the cat leaped onto the conference table, stretched languorously, and then curled up next to the most anxious alien observer, a nervous Proximan who manifested his stress through slight color changes. Fascinating. Neri floated closer, her sensors working overtime. "This creature shares 96% of its DNA with what you call tigers, yet it appears to be comforting Officer Lux." Indeed, Marmalade had started purring, the rhythmic sound somehow synchronizing with the Proximan's color-shifting pattern. Within minutes, his nervous flickering had stabilized into a calm blue glow. "That's what we've been trying to tell you," Dr. Chen said softly. "These aren't just tamed animals or trained workers. They're partners who have evolved alongside us, learning to understand and respond to emotions across species barriers. They can sense things we can't, communicate in ways we're still studying, and form bonds that transcend biological imperatives." As if to demonstrate this point, a golden retriever puppy chose that moment to tumble into the room, tangled in its own leash. The sophisticated diplomatic meeting devolved into laughter, human and alien alike, as the clumsy ball of fur attempted to make friends with everyone present, even trying to play with Neri's crystalline form. Perhaps, Zax mused, watching the puppy bring out the childlike joy in beings from a dozen different star systems. This is why humans succeeded where other species never thought to try. They didn't approach these creatures as predators to be tamed, but as friends waiting to be made. The Galactic Council's Architecture Committee had never received a more unusual request. The human delegation stood firm, displaying holographic designs for what they called the Ark Initiative, Earth's first deep space colonial vessel designed with integrated habitats for their animal companions. "This is unprecedented," declared High Architect Val Zen, her tentacles swirling in agitation. "No species has ever attempted to bring non-sentient creatures into deep space." Commander Elena Rodriguez smiled, reaching down to scratch behind the ears of her German shepherd, Hapless, who sat attentively by her side wearing a prototype canine spacesuit. With all due respect, High Architect, we're not leaving them behind. Our animal companions aren't just pets, they're part of our civilization. The committee watched in fascination as Elena pulled out a small treat from her pocket. Atlas remained perfectly still, despite his obvious interest, until she gave a subtle hand signal. The dog's disciplined response impressed even the most skeptical council members. Besides, Elena continued, we've already successfully tested animal-friendly space habitats on our lunar and Martian bases. Shadow here, she gestured to a black cat lounging on a nearby console, is actually a third-generation Mars-born feline. Her grandmother was one of the first mousers on the Red Planet. The committee's attention shifted to Shadow, who demonstrated perfect zero-gravity adaptation by elegantly pushing off the console to float toward a sunny observation window. The sight of a predator moving freely through space caused several council members to flinch, but their anxiety turned to curiosity when Shadow merely settled into the sunbeam for a nap. Our research shows that animals adapt remarkably well to space environments, explained Dr. James Chen, the project's lead cynobiologist. Dogs quickly learn to navigate in zero gravity, cats help maintain spacecraft cleanliness and pest control, and both species continue to provide emotional support that's crucial for long-term space missions. To demonstrate, James pulled out a ball designed for zero-gravity fetch. With a gentle toss, he sent it spinning down the station's main corridor. Atlas tracked its movement perfectly, calculating his trajectory before pushing off with just enough force to intercept the ball without hitting any walls or equipment. The video of this spacefaring game of fetch would soon become the most shared content across galactic social networks. Beings from thousands of worlds watched in delight as a descendant of Earth's wolves demonstrated perfect space adaptation, returning the ball with careful precision before accepting a treat from his human partner. But what about waste management, exercise requirements, emergency protocols? Valzen pressed, though her tentacles had relaxed considerably. In response, Elena activated a detailed hologram of the Ark's design. We've developed specialized systems for everything. Hydroponic gardens that double as dog parks, automated waste recycling units, emergency pods sized for humans and their companions, and even dedicated veterinary bays with zero-gravity surgical capabilities. The presentation continued with footage from the International Space Station's Animal Integration Program. Council members watched therapy dogs helping astronauts cope with the psychological challenges of space travel, cats keeping vital equipment free from space debris, and even a parrot serving as a backup warning system for atmospheric changes. Most importantly, James added, pulling up new data, stations with animal companions report a 47% increase in crew morale and a 33% decrease in stress-related incidents. These aren't just pets we're bringing along. They're crucial members of our spacefaring teams. The final piece of evidence came when an emergency drill sounded through the station. Without prompting, Atlas immediately moved to guide the nearest council members toward the designated safety area, while Shadow's ears perked up as she monitored frequencies beyond human hearing. Valzen's tentacles shifted to the color of acceptance. Perhaps, she admitted, watching Atlas calmly assist an elderly council member, we've been thinking about space adaptation too narrowly. The ARC initiative is approved. Elena smiled, sharing a knowing look with Atlas. Humanity's journey to the stars would continue as it had begun on Earth, with faithful companions by her side. Ambassador Lin Wei stood before the Galactic Council's Education Committee, trying to hide her amusement as Buddy, her retired police dog, gently nudged a nervous Floaxian toward their shared presentation podium. The butterfly-like alien's wings had been fluttering in anxiety, but they steadied as Buddy offered a reassuring presence. Distinguished committee members, Lin began, 6 months ago, we started the Interspecies Companion Initiative. Today, Administrator Zix-8 and I are here to share our remarkable results. The Floaxian's multifaceted eyes sparkled as they stepped forward, When my people first learned of Earth's predator companions, we were terrified. Our species evolved as prey creatures, constantly alert for danger. The idea of bonding with a predator seemed impossible. Zix-8's wings displayed patterns of joy as they reached down to stroke Buddy's head. Yet here I stand, partnered with a creature my ancestors would have fled from. Through careful training and trust-building exercises, Buddy has helped me overcome fears I never thought possible. Holoscreen displays activated around the chamber, showing footage from the initiative's first days. Alien species of all types participated in carefully designed interaction programs with Earth animals. A group of crystalline beings learned to play fetch with golden retrievers, their natural light displays synchronizing with their dog's excitement. Aquatic species discovered they could communicate with dolphins using sophisticated sonar patterns. The breakthrough came, Lynn continued, when we realized each species had unique contributions to the partnership. The Fluaction's ability to detect subtle air currents helped us develop new training techniques for search and rescue dogs. The crystalline's light patterns created new ways to communicate with cats in low-light environments. The committee watched footage of a remarkable incident where a Fluaxion dog team had located survivors in a mining accident. The Fluaxion's sensitive wings detected air movements through tiny cracks, while the dog's keen nose confirmed the presence of life. Working together, they achieved what neither species could have done alone. But perhaps most surprising, Zix-8 added, their wings now glowing with confidence, was how these partnerships began changing us. My people have started teaching courses on wing-based communication to other species. We're learning that what we once saw as evolutionary disadvantages can become bridges of understanding. The presentation continued with more examples. A timid species of silicon-based beings had formed a deep bond with Great Danes, finding that the gentle giant's protective nature helped them overcome their social anxiety. A race of nocturnal scholars had discovered that cats made perfect research companions, sharing their natural comfort in darkness. The initiative has expanded beyond our expectations, Lynn explained. We've documented over 300 successful cross-species partnerships. Each one teaches us something new about communication, trust, and the nature of intelligence itself. Buddy demonstrated this point by responding to a series of silent wing movements from Zix-8, performing complex tasks without a single verbal command. The Fluaxion had learned to adapt traditional hand signals to their natural wing patterns, creating an entirely new form of animal communication. But the most significant impact, Lynn concluded, has been on galactic society itself. Species that once avoided contact due to physical or cultural differences are finding common ground through their shared experiences with Earth's animals. As if to prove her point, the chamber's doors opened to admit a delegation of newly arrived representatives. A dozen different alien species entered, each accompanied by their animal partners. Dogs, cats, parrots, and even a few therapy rabbits moved confidently among beings from across the galaxy. The Education Committee's chair being, a usually stoic entity of pure energy, flickered with what could only be described as delight. I believe, they announced, we are witnessing the beginning of a true galactic community, one where the boundaries between species become opportunities for growth rather than barriers to understanding. Buddy barked once in agreement, causing ripples of appreciative laughter to spread through the chamber. In that moment, Earth's ancient practice of animal companionship had transformed into something even greater, a blueprint for unity across the stars. Lieutenant Maya Patel was completing her routine inspection of Starbase Aurora when Luna, her black and white station cat, suddenly stopped grooming herself. The cat's ears swiveled forward, her pupils dilating as she stared intently at a seemingly ordinary section of the station's wall. "What is it, girl?" Maya asked, having learned long ago to trust her companion's instincts. Luna's tail puffed up as she approached the wall panel, pawing at it insistently. Maya activated her comm link. "Control, this is Lieutenant Patel. Luna's detected something in Section 7B, requesting a diagnostic scan." The Centaurian officer on duty chirped in amusement. Your small predator is concerned about solid durasteel. Our sensors show all systems nominal in that section. Before Maya could respond, Luna let out a yowl, a sound she only made in serious situations. Maya pressed her own ear against the wall, and her blood ran cold. A faint, almost imperceptible hiss whispered from behind the panel. Emergency Protocol Alpha. We have a micro-breach in Section 7B. Maya shouted into her comm. Luna detected it before the sensors could pick it up. The station burst into activity. As emergency teams rushed to the scene, Maya noticed something else extraordinary. The station's contingent of dogs, part of the recently established Space Canine Response Unit, was already in motion. Without commands, they began herding crew members away from the affected section, their training kicking in automatically. Remarkable, breathed Chief Engineer of Xylos, their crystalline form shimmering with excitement as they arrived. The breach is smaller than our detection threshold. If your Luna hadn't noticed it, the wall would have failed within hours, Maya finished grimly. But we've got another problem. The maintenance shaft behind this section. Someone needs to get in there to apply the emergency sealant, and it's too narrow for your repair drones. A sharp bark interrupted them. Max, one of the station's search and rescue dogs, stood at attention beside his handler, Technical Surgeon James Chen. The German Shepherd wore his specialized space rescue suit, complete with an integrated toolkit. He's volunteering, James said with pride. Max can navigate that shaft and carry the sealant pack. He's done similar repairs in training. The alien engineers watched in amazement as James quickly suited up and prepared Max for the mission. The dog's space suit, a marvel of human engineering, included magnetic paw pads, protective goggles, and a secure harness for carrying repair equipment. The shaft has limited oxygen, Xylos warned. Your companion will have only minutes. James nodded, attaching the sealant pack to Max's harness. That's all he needs. Ready, boy. Max's determined bark echoed through the corridor. With precise movements, he entered the maintenance shaft, following James's hand signals and verbal commands. Through the shaft's transparent sections, the crew watched as Max navigated the narrow space with practiced ease. Luna, still on high alert, kept her eyes fixed on the wall. Her ears tracked Max's progress through the shaft until he reached the breach point. With careful movements, Max positioned the sealant pack exactly as he'd been trained. Now, Max, deploy and retreat, James commanded. The dog activated the sealant mechanism and quickly backed away as the specialized foam expanded to seal the breach. Seconds later, Max emerged from the shaft to thunderous applause from humans and aliens alike. Luna sauntered over to inspect him, giving a satisfied purr as she confirmed his success. I must revise my assessment, Xylos announced, their crystalline form glowing with newfound respect. These Earth creatures are not merely companions or curiosities. They are essential crew members with capabilities beyond our most sophisticated technology. Maya smiled, watching Luna return to her grooming routine as if she hadn't just saved the station. That's what we've been trying to tell everyone. On Earth, we learned long ago that different species working together are stronger than any single species alone. As if to emphasize her point, Max padded over to Luna and gave her a respectful nod before settling down nearby, both animals maintaining their vigilant watch over their home among the stars. Dr. Maria Santos stood at the podium of the newly inaugurated Interstellar Animal Training Academy, surveying the most diverse group of students ever assembled in one classroom. Beings from 17 different species filled the amphitheater, each drawn by the promise of learning Earth's ancient art of animal companionship. Welcome to Basic Bonding 101, Maria announced, as her teaching assistant Ruby, a golden retriever with silver-flecked fur, sat attentively beside her. Today marks the beginning of your journey into understanding the principles of cross-species companionship. A Valerian student raised their bioluminescent appendage. Doctor, our research indicates that your species spent over 15,000 years developing these bonds. How can we possibly learn this in a single academic cycle? Maria smiled, reaching down to scratch Ruby's ears. Because we've already done the hard part. Your ancestors didn't have the benefit of 15,000 years of trial and error, but you do. Ruby, demonstrate greeting protocol 1. The gathered students watched in fascination as Ruby approached each being in the front row, adjusting her body language for each species. She kept her tail low and still for the nervous Floaxians, maintained a respectful distance from the sensitive energy fields of the Luminarians, and offered a gentle paw to the crystalline Neri students. Notice how Ruby modifies her approach based on the individual, Maria explained, projecting detailed behavioral analyses onto the holoscreen. This adaptability is what made Earth's animals perfect partners for space exploration. They don't just learn commands, they learn to read and respond to different species' needs. The Academy's sprawling campus, built in the rolling hills outside New Denver, represented the galaxy's largest investment in interspecies education. Training areas recreated various environments, from zero-gravity chambers to underwater habitats, allowing students to work with Earth animals in any conditions they might encounter in space. Your first assignment, Maria continued, activating individual holographic displays at each student station, is to observe and document natural bonding behaviors. We've paired each of you with a mentor animal suited to your species' characteristics. The class watched as doors opened around the amphitheater, revealing a carefully selected group of animals. Dogs of various breeds, cats, parrots, and even a few therapy rabbits entered the room, each wearing the Academy's silver and blue training vest. A young Meridian, their plasma form flickering with nervousness, found themselves approached by a calm Maine Coon cat. The feline settled nearby, its purring resonating at a frequency that helped stabilize the Meridian's fluctuating energy field. That's Felix, Maria explained. He comes from a line of therapy cats specially bred for work with energy-based life forms. His purring frequency can help regulate unstable plasma patterns. Across the room, a group of aquatic Delphians watched in amazement as a border collie demonstrated its ability to learn and respond to their complex color-based language. Within minutes, the dog was following their chromatic commands as if it had been trained by their species all along. Remember, Maria said, walking among her students as they began their first interactions, this isn't about domination or control. It's about partnership. Earth's animals chose to work with us just as much as we chose to work with them. To demonstrate this point, Ruby began a complex training exercise with a nervous Proximan student. Instead of forcing interaction, the dog waited patiently, offering subtle signs of friendship until the alien felt comfortable enough to initiate contact. Over the next few cycles, Maria concluded, watching her students take their first steps into this new frontier, you'll learn not just how to work with Earth animals, but how to understand them. Their intelligence might be different from ours, but it's no less valuable. The Academy's motto, displayed in shimmering holographic letters above the entrance, captured this philosophy perfectly. Through understanding, unity. Through unity, growth. Below it, a smaller line added by the first graduating class had become equally famous. Every species has something to teach. As the first day's classes continued, the sound of barks, meows, chirps, and alien vocalizations merged into a symphony of discovery. The galaxy's next generation of animal handlers was beginning to understand what humanity had learned millennia ago, that some of the best teachers have 4 legs and fur. Ambassador Sarah Chen fought to maintain her diplomatic composure as she watched the delegation from Alpha Centauri and the Sirius Republic refuse to acknowledge each other's presence. The two species had been locked in a trade dispute for decades, and this emergency summit seemed destined to fail before it began. That's when Bella, her therapy dog, decided to take matters into her own paws. The golden retriever, wearing her formal diplomatic quartz vest adorned with translator patches, calmly padded over to the Centaurian delegation. Their crystalline forms sparkled with initial wariness, but Bella simply sat down and offered her paw, exactly as she'd been trained. "What is this gesture?" asked the Centaurian first speaker, their facets shifting in curiosity. "It's called a handshake," Sarah explained, seizing the opportunity. Or in this case, a paw shake. It's an Earth tradition of greeting and friendship. The Syrian delegation, despite their attempt to appear uninterested, couldn't help but watch as the Centaurian cautiously extended a crystalline appendage to touch Bella's offered paw. The dog's tail wagged gently, and her calm demeanor seemed to ease the tension in the room. "Your companion shows wisdom," the Syrian elder observed, their feathered crest rising slightly. "She offers friendship without judgment or prerequisite." Bella, sensing another potential friend, walked over to the Syrian delegation with the same peaceful intent. Her approach was different this time, more reserved, respecting the Syrians' well-known preference for personal space. "Notice how she adapts her behavior," Sarah pointed out. "Earth's animals have an extraordinary ability to read and respond to different species' comfort levels. They don't see political divisions or historical grievances. They see beings capable of connection." The Syrian elder's crest fully extended in pleasure as Bella sat nearby, offering companionship without demanding it. Perhaps, they mused, we could learn from such wisdom. As the summit proceeded, Bella's presence continued to work its subtle magic. When tensions rose, she would place herself between the arguing parties, her calming presence making it difficult for anyone to maintain their anger. During breaks, she would encourage interaction by bringing her favorite toy to different delegates, creating moments of shared amusement that transcended species barriers. "Your Earth creatures," the Centaurian first speaker noted during one such break, "they carry no grudges from the past." "That's one of their greatest gifts to us," Sarah agreed. "They live in the present moment, always ready to make new friends and build new bonds." The breakthrough came during a particularly heated debate over trading rights. Bella, sensing the rising stress in the room, did something unexpected. She rolled over and exposed her belly, a display of complete trust that drew astonished gasps from both delegations. "She shows vulnerability," the Syrian elder observed, yet remained strong in her certainty of friendship. "Sometimes," Sarah suggested gently, "the bravest diplomatic move is to be the first to show trust." The gesture sparked a transformation in the negotiations. Both sides began to speak of trust-building measures, of small steps toward cooperation. They found themselves using phrases like mutual understanding and shared future, concepts that had seemed impossible just hours earlier. By the end of the summit, a preliminary agreement had been reached. As the delegations prepared to depart, something remarkable happened. The Centaurian first speaker and the Syrian elder approached Bella together, each offering their species' version of appreciation. "We request," the first speaker announced, "that future diplomatic summits include Earth's animal ambassadors. They remind us of truths we too often forget." Sarah watched as Bella accepted their attention with characteristic grace, her tail wagging gently. In the dog's simple, honest interactions, these ancient spacefaring races had rediscovered something profound, the ability to see past differences and connect heart to heart. Perhaps, the Syrian elder added, their crest shimmering with newfound hope, "the greatest gift your species brings to the galaxy is not your technology or your adaptability, but these teachers who show us how to be our better selves." The grand amphitheater of the Interstellar Animal Training Academy buzzed with excitement as beings from across the galaxy gathered for a historic moment. Today marked the graduation of the first class of non-human animal handlers, and the air tingled with anticipation. Director Maya Patel stood at the podium. Luna, now a distinguished senior station cat, perched regally beside her. The black and white feline had earned her place in history during the Starbase Aurora incident, and her presence added weight to this momentous occasion. 10 Earth years ago, Maya began, her voice carrying across the diverse assembly. A confused alien scout watched a child play fetch with a dog in a park. Today, we celebrate how that moment of discovery has transformed our understanding of what's possible. The graduating class sat in the front rows, each student accompanied by their animal partner. The sight would have been unthinkable a decade ago. A Floaxian graduate whose wings now fluttered calmly beside their German Shepherd partner, a crystalline being whose facets sparkled in harmony with their therapy cat's purring, and an energy being whose fluctuating form had found stability through their bond with a border collie. Your class, Maya continued, has proven that the ability to form meaningful bonds across species isn't unique to humans. It's a gift that all sentient beings share, waiting to be awakened. On cue, the graduates demonstrated their achievements. The Floixian and their shepherd performed a complex search and rescue simulation, using the alien's wing sensitivity and the dog's keen nose in perfect synchronization. The crystalline graduate and their cat demonstrated new techniques for using feline agility to maintain crystal-based technology in space. But perhaps most remarkably, Maya smiled as Luna stretched lazily beside her. You've shown us that Earth's animals are far more adaptable than even we humans realize. They haven't just accepted non-human partners, they thrived with them. The evidence was clear in the way the animals responded to their alien handlers. Dogs adjusted their body language for different species' comfort levels. Cats modulated their purring frequencies to match alien neural patterns, and parrots had learned to mimic interstellar communication signals. From the audience, Senior Scout Zax 427 watched with pride. His initial report of humans living with predators had sparked this revolution in interspecies relations. Now, a decade later, his own species had incorporated Earth animals into their exploration teams, finding that dogs' pack instincts complemented their hive-based society perfectly. As you leave these halls, Maya addressed the graduates. You carry forward a legacy that began thousands of years ago, when the first wolf chose to share its fire with humans. That choice, to trust, to connect, to grow together, echoes through time and now extends across the stars. The ceremony reached its peak as each graduate received their certification. Rather than traditional diplomas, they were presented with specially designed communication devices that their animal partners had helped create. Tools that bridge the gaps between species through a combination of technology and trust. The galaxy once saw Earth as a death world, Maya concluded, reaching down to stroke Luna's fur, and our animal companions as dangerous predators. Today, we understand a deeper truth, that the ability to forge bonds of trust and friendship, even with those different from ourselves, is the most powerful force in the universe. The ceremony ended with a display that moved many to tears. All the animal partners, responding to a signal from their graduates, raised their voices together. The harmony of barks, meows, chirps, and trills merged with alien vocalizations in a symphony of unity that transcended the boundaries of worlds and species. As the celebration continued, Luna jumped down from the podium to greet a young Meridian child who had been watching the proceedings with wide, glowing eyes. The casual interaction, a simple moment of curiosity and friendship between a cat and an energy being, embodied everything the Academy stood for. The galaxy had changed forever, not through force or fear, but through the simple, profound truth that humans had learned millennia ago. Love, trust, and friendship know no species barriers. They need only the courage to reach out and the wisdom to learn from those who see the world differently.